Coming up today on That LTD Life, I'm going to be testing out Closely. This is a cold outreach tool that does both email as well as LinkedIn. Now, I recently reviewed AimFox, which is another cold outreach tool, but it's dedicated only to LinkedIn. A lot of people wanted to know how AimFox compared to Closely, and here we are. I'll be testing out Closely from start to finish in this video. If you're new to my videos, this is not a sponsored video. I'm simply going to go through the tool, tell you what I like, show you how it works, and you can decide for yourself if it's a good fit for your business. If you want to support my content, consider clicking on my AppSumo link down below. I am an AppSumo affiliate, and that's how I monetize this channel. All right, so here is the AppSumo deal page. It's currently $69 for a lifetime of Closely. Now, there are many plans available. In fact, you can stack on as many codes as you want for Closely. It literally says right up here, stack unlimited codes. So if you have a huge team, you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on Closely. I'm not sure I advise that quite yet, but let's get into the tool and we'll find out. Now, kind of the biggest difference between plan 1 and all of the other plans is you get way more features if you move up to at least plan 2. You still get to do the LinkedIn outreach and all that, but you just get a lot more features like importing CSVs, importing audiences from groups. It says human-like behavior of automation algorithms. Apparently you only get that on tier 2, so just move up to tier 2. Consider that kind of the lowest price point, $138. I think that seems like probably a safe bet. After that, essentially nothing else changes. You get 2,000 credits per code, and every 2 codes you get an additional user. So there you go. That is how the system works. Now, there is one other thing. If you get to 10 codes, you can white label it and then offer it as a service to your clients. You can see here, if I get up to 10, boom, down at the bottom, we get white labeling. And obviously that will remain if you stack additional codes beyond that. Okay, so that is the plans and pricing. And for your information, I am going to be using tier 2 for this video. Here is what Closely looks like. I've just kind of logged in and they're telling me I can add a Chrome extension here. The Chrome extension is not entirely necessary because you can do most things inside of Closely. But if you like to be on LinkedIn, maybe you just enjoy reading other people's content and things like that, you can use their Chrome extension to reveal emails directly on their profile pages. This will not work with 100% accuracy, but occasionally be able to unlock someone's email address. But Chrome extension aside, after you have redeemed your AppSumo codes on Closely, you're going to want to sync your LinkedIn account by clicking right over here. That brings up this screen where you can add in your LinkedIn information. So I'm going to log in here. You do need to use your LinkedIn password. Hypothetically, this would be true of AimFox as well. Their support would have access to your LinkedIn account only by accessing your Closely or AimFox account. They can't actually log into LinkedIn. They're not going to be saving your password and, acting as you. But if there is extremely sensitive data on LinkedIn, like why would you do that? But if there is, consider not using tools like this because obviously just like posting with Buffer or something on Facebook, you're granting access between the tools. There's going to be the possibility that there could be an opening there, right? Not saying there's any security issues, but you want to be thinking through these things. If you're giving access to post on your behalf through any API, obviously it could potentially be used maliciously. Now, this setup process is taking a few seconds here because my understanding is that they're actually going to import my entire inbox right into Closely, so I'll be able to browse and reply right here. With AimFox, it did not do that. It simply allowed me to respond to incoming messages, but it did not go back in time. So I'll kind of see how this works in a moment, but the sync process is taking a hot second. A little bit more on the security side of things, because that was some questions that came up with AimFox. In general, LinkedIn automation is kind of accepted that you do it, but it probably, if you get into the terms of service, is probably against the terms of service. I'm not a lawyer. I don't really know. Don't take what I'm saying here, and run off and tell your friends not to use LinkedIn automation. People have been doing this for a decade plus, running, automated bots to do outreach on LinkedIn. We've certainly all received those types of messages. Whether or not it's right for you, I think depends on your approach, how targeted you get, how specific you get with those outreach messages, and just what sort of a stomach you have for kind of just, messaging a lot of people and getting a ton of rejection. And possibly if you do it the wrong way, it could tarnish your brand. So that's why I think it is very, very important to be specific about your approach. Now, both Closely and AimFox have precautions built in to avoid getting your account flagged as a spam account or blocked for automation type of tasks. One, it will kind of sporadically vary the posting times. You can also set a window where you're active, right? So you're not just running 24/7. That is a big red flag, both to candidates who are receiving your messages as well as the system itself is going to be like, hey, no one can be online for 19 straight days without ever taking a break. On top of that, both Closely and AimFox do use dedicated IPs for each LinkedIn account so that you look like you're logged in from a specific location rather than constantly bouncing all over the world. All right, so at least 15 minutes has passed by, possibly even a little bit longer, and I'm still stuck in this verifying stage. Now, I'm a little bit out of the screen you saw previously. I'm just over here under accounts, and you can see the accounts that I've linked. You can connect up your LinkedIn accounts here as well as your email accounts. Now, I only have this one LinkedIn account, and the directions it says is to delete the account and re-add it if it's taking too long. I actually already did that step, and in investigating a little bit of their help docs, it looks like if I were to delete this account and then go ahead and the next time I sign up, actually just use their Chrome extension, that might work more reliably. So we're going to try that out. It's actually how I connected up the AimFox account was through their Chrome extension as well. So here's the Chrome extension. I'm going to install it, and it pops up the little login for Closely. I'll get logged into my Closely account here. And now it's asking me to connect up my account. I will do that, and it says they're syncing. So hopefully this works going through the Chrome extension where it failed directly logging in through the web platform. All right, and I did get a confirmation message that my account was added successfully. So let's go to the dashboard. It refreshes everything for me. It actually took me to their plans and pricing. Heading over to accounts, yes, now it says active. So that happened almost instantaneously. If you find that it's dragging a lot going through the web platform, definitely just use the Chrome extension. And as long as we've got the Chrome extension installed, let's go ahead and try it out. There is a little step-by-step guide here. It says go to the people search. I will do that. Now, this does work with Sales Navigator if you're paying monthly for LinkedIn. I am not doing that at the moment. I have done it in the past, but not currently. Now, what I can do here is apply my filters, search for the type of people I want to find. All right, I just did a quick search here for remodeling in the greater Minneapolis area. Let's suppose I wanted to offer marketing services to home remodelers. Well, I've got a long list of potential leads here. I can go ahead and export these with these new little buttons that show up inside of Closely. Now, I've got two options. I can just export the list itself, and I can choose how many I'd like to export. Let's say 1,000 is the maximum, and I could start from the first page or the second page if I was picking up on this search maybe a day or two later. Or I can export with emails. If I click on this, it is going to cost me some of my monthly credits, 1 credit per contact. So let's say I tried out, I don't know, let's just do 10 to get started. And I'll give the list the name remodelers and go ahead and proceed. All right, it's going through that list pretty quickly, and it says done. And it says next, add emails. So it took me back over into the Closely web app, and it looks like it is going through and verifying all of these emails. I'm going to hide these so nobody sees these emails revealed. I don't want to be putting out personal emails on a YouTube video. But overall, it looks like this is going to work fairly well. Let me finish up the verification, and I'll let you know how many of the emails look legit. So the email verification completed. It was able to find 4 email addresses out of the 10 contacts, and all of them looked fairly accurate. Some of them were like Yahoo addresses or Gmail addresses. They were not necessarily company domains, and they looked authentic. So they're probably just getting them off of LinkedIn, probably legit emails. One of the 10 contacts even displayed a phone number. So if you're interested in doing some cold calling, you might get a few phone numbers that you can call from this tool as well. Now, obviously, I did this search via the extension, but you could do basically the same thing right inside of the Closely web app, which is beneficial if you don't have direct access to the LinkedIn account. Let's say you're doing this as part of a team and you're not able to log into someone's LinkedIn. Well, you can go right over here to Lead Finder, use the exact same filters, go ahead and search, and then perform the exact same task right here in the tool. Let's try it out. I'm gonna do the same search here for remodeling, and I'm gonna set the location to be the greater Minneapolis area. Now, unlike AimFox, it does not pull in the locations that I have used on my account. Instead, it starts with the United States, India, United Kingdom, and then just gives me a huge list of countries. So I'm going to start off at United States here, but it would be nice if it had that extra little touch where maybe it kind of knew the geographies that I had searched for on LinkedIn previously, or maybe even just pulling from my profile, kind of made those the priority. Like even the search directly in LinkedIn kind of knows the locations that I've searched in the past. So it would be nice if it pulled those in because I'm sure they're available via the API. In fact, I'm going to try to just paste in the exact phrasing here that I got off of LinkedIn, and we'll see if that works. I'll actually remove the United States, and let's go ahead and search. Here it says it could not find any results. So I'm thinking that this location is not playing ball. So we'll go right back to United States here. I'll get rid of this and hit search. And there we go. Now I've got a huge list of remodeling companies from all over the United States, but that's not as specific as I wanted. And I really don't see any way to drill down by state. Kind of a little nuance here, but definitely showing me that this is not quite as thorough when it comes to the targeting that I saw on AimFox. Now, keep in mind, we're just doing lead finding here. We are not building a campaign yet. So if you're comparing the AimFox review to this one, it's a little bit out of order just to keep you on the right path. Now, interestingly, it only found 36 people here. I thought it was going to be, thousands. If I were to go over to LinkedIn and do this same search, I definitely would get many, many thousands of results. So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, 143,000. So whatever database Closely is using is obviously not going to be the entire LinkedIn network. So I'm going to go ahead and grab 25 of these contacts. I'll hit open and save. I'll add it to a list of remodelers and go ahead and hit open and save again. I can see that I do in fact have 35 remodelers listed here, whereas I had 10 before, just added 25 more. These are scattered all across the United States, and I do have all of their email addresses. So I guess that's one big difference between using their Chrome extension and just doing the lead finder directly in the app. It looks like everybody in the app has an email listed. All right, so now that we've checked out prospecting, let's go ahead and build our first campaign. I'm on the first option in the left-hand sidebar here that says campaigns. I'm going to click on the button to create a new campaign. I'll give the campaign the name Remodelers, and we'll select the correct LinkedIn account. So if you had multiple accounts connected here, you'd be able to target the right one. Now, because my account is new on Closely, I'm in something called warm-up mode. And you can see here, they're going to restrict my account pretty severely and then gradually increase the limits over time. The idea behind this is that they don't want to arise suspicion that I'm now using some automation by going from sending virtually no messages to 500 messages per day, right? So they're going to slowly ramp things up a lot like you do for cold email. By default, I'm going to be sending just 5 connection requests per day, 10 messages per day. So I think a maximum of 100 per week, 20 profile views, 20 like posts, 20 endorsed skills, and 20 find emails. If you want to modify these settings or turn them off for whatever reason, you can do so over under accounts, then go under the triple dots, click account settings, and here are your limits. You could toggle this off and set it to be whatever you like. I am going to leave it on though, because I do not want to get my LinkedIn account banned. Even though I don't use the platform personally very often, I still see some value in it and don't want to have it erased from the world. So let's go back and begin this account setup. So I could do this with email as well, but I'm going to just stick with LinkedIn for right now. I have not connected any email accounts yet. So let's go ahead and choose my audience. Okay, so for our targeting here, we have many different options. We can use LinkedIn search to find people, and it does work with Sales Navigator or LinkedIn Recruiter. You can also import from a CSV. So if you wanted to grab your leads from the lead finder, export them, put them in right here, that would work as well. We can also do it based on post engagement. So people who reacted to a post or left a comment, you could enter in the post URL and then engage with those people and set a limit over here. We could also do it by event attendees. So people that showed up to a LinkedIn event, you could add that event URL right here and then try to connect with people who attended a similar event that you did. And we can also do group members over here. So people that belong to a LinkedIn group, or you can import a CSV from My Network. Now, what that means is you can go over to the My Network tab, look through your existing connections, and then export those so that you can use them as the source for your campaign. So you want to connect with people you have already connected with, you could do that. The My Network page is pretty easy to understand, by the way. You've got some filters over here on the left, and then you'll have the results on the right. So let's say I wanted to reach out to people that had CEO in their job title. I could simply enter that in, go ahead and hit search. And here are all of my contacts that are CEOs. I can select them all and I could message them right now. I could apply a tag, or in this case, I want to use them as part of my campaign. Hypothetically, I could hit export and then just choose CSV. Although I could choose text document or Google Doc if I wanted to use it in another way. In this scenario, I want to choose CSV to use it in my campaign. And then I have just 2 options. I can export without contacts, which doesn't have any credit fee attached to it, Or if you want to look up each contact's information, you can choose this option over here. Now in this scenario, it says records that are already opened is 0, records with no data available is 25. So there's actually no information for them to look up. So I could do either button and it doesn't really have any consequence. Overall, the My Network tab is like the inkling of the start of a CRM, where you can add notes about contacts, you can tag them, but there's not any sort of pipeline where I can maybe move people through different steps. So it's a good start, but maybe we could see this grow and mature a little bit more. Now, this type of feature didn't exist at all inside of AimFox, so I think this is nice. I'm not trying to put it down by saying it has room to grow, but the feature itself is interesting. Just you can see more potential here. Okay, so jumping back over into our campaign, let's go ahead and get this set up. Now I talked about using that CSV as the starting point. I'm actually not going to do that. I want to try using a LinkedIn search. So what they want us to do here is to do the actual search on LinkedIn and then paste that URL in right over here. This is quite a bit different and in my opinion, not quite as nice as what we saw on AimFox, which had very, very good interface for targeting. Instead, you're just going to use your regular LinkedIn or Sales Navigator. If you have it, you can jump over there and perform the search. They do give you the URL, so I'm going to use that. I perform the search. I will grab the URL and paste it in. I'm going to go ahead and set a limit here of just 10 because I'm just testing this out. I don't want to contact a lot of people. And I'll go up here where it says save and next, choose actions. So this just takes me to a blank screen. I need to click add new step and I can start to build out my actual campaign here. So I've got some options. I can do a connection request. That's probably a good first start for most LinkedIn outreach. If this was maybe an email outreach, you could find their emails as the first step. I'm going to go ahead and just do a connection request. Now, with every connection request on LinkedIn, of course, you can send a connection message, just say, hey, what you're about or why you're trying to connect. There is some templates you can use down here. So I'm going to grab one of these. We'll see what they're like. I'll paste in this template. It says, hey, first name, just saw your profile because of a mutual connection we have. I'm blah, 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 and I do blah, blah, blah. Be glad to have you on my network. So very, very generic template here. The comparative was AimFox, which had that AI built in. So I wrote a little message, kind of brief, and then I clicked on the AI improver and it actually significantly improved it. I felt like it was a far better message than this, although I spent zero effort on this connection message. So to be fair, we could probably all just utilize our ChatGPT or our Claude accounts right in there and just paste it in, and that would be fine as well. You do want to make sure you use their variables so you can call people by their name. That makes it a lot more legitimate. You can have that go wrong as well. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, oh, I used your name. Now I'm golden. But if you're just like, hey, person, or hey, so, just not acknowledge any personalization at all, that is definitely a huge red flag. You got to kind of find a happy medium where you're personalizing the message a little bit, but not too much that it looks a little bit strange. There is a little checkbox down here to withdraw requests after a certain number of days if not accepted. The minimum is 7 and the max is 21. I think that's a pretty nice feature. That way you don't have just hundreds and hundreds of requests pending in your account. So I'll go ahead and set that up. I'm going to do the max 21 days. I'll save this connection request. And with our first step of the sequence added, the editor is becoming a little bit more clear. This is actually very full featured. So what happens if they say yes? Well, maybe at that point, I'm going to go ahead and connect with them. So I'll send a message. I could write my message here or use one of their templates. Again, I'm just going to choose it and hit save. Highly, highly recommend either really studying cold outreach or utilizing something like Claude to write these messages, just making sure that you're teaching Claude about the variables so that they're personalizing each message. I'm not going to go into that in this video because we're mostly just focused on how the software performs. But you can see here that if yes, they're accepted, then they're immediately at this point going to receive this message. I don't want it to go out immediately. That feels very spammy. So I'm going to add maybe a little delay of how about, 2 days. Now, what happens if they don't connect? Well, I can have a branch for that as well. Maybe at this point, I'm going to go ahead and view their profile and I'll have that happen. How about after 1 day? And after another day, if they still don't connect, well, maybe I'm going to like their posts. And you can set this up to go on as long as you like. So you could like more posts, or if they do accept you, but they don't respond, you could go ahead and send more messages. So I can add additional steps to either side of the equation here is essentially what I'm getting at. All right, so when you build out your actions just as you like them, you can go ahead and move to the next step, which is to save and verify. So here are the contacts that I'm going to reach out to, and I can go ahead and exclude people added to other campaigns. That's a good idea. So you're not running multiple campaigns to the same contacts. I like that checkbox. And now I can click Save and Start Now. Now, this is not going to begin absolutely immediately because I've set working hours inside of Closely. You can do that right over here in your accounts. I'll click on the triple dots, go to Account Settings, and then right over here under Profile Settings, we can set what days we actually want to have our messages go out. So Monday through Friday. And we can also set our working hours. So currently I have it set from 9 to about 9 o'clock at night. That's a little late for me. I'm going to bring it in a little bit here. We'll do 9 to 6 and apply those changes. Oh, it says go to Profile tab and select Account Time Zone from list. Interesting, because here it says your time zone was set automatically. No problem here. We'll get it set up. All right, there it is. I hit apply and my account changes have saved. So now I will only send out those messages between the working hours that I specified. And remember, because I'm in warm-up mode, it's only going to send a few messages every day anyway. Now, we could repeat this entire process of creating a campaign, but rather than utilizing LinkedIn, we could use the same scenario to send out a campaign via email. Let's take a look at how that would work. First, you'll need to connect up your email account. So go over to Accounts and then hit Add Email Account. As long as you are on tier 2 and above, you'll be able to connect up with Google or Outlook. I don't know what they let you do if you're not on tier 2. I guess you can't send emails, but that was definitely one of the options. I'm going to go ahead and connect up an Outlook account here. I would love to see them build in support for, custom SMTP if you're not using one of these main providers, but it's not available right now. All right, I've logged into Outlook. I am now accepting all of their permission requests to let their tool send email and read my email. And my email has now been added successfully. You can see all of the account details here. I even get to set up my own tracking domain so that when I send out cold emails, I can see who has actually opened them. That is very, very helpful. To set up your own tracking domain, you will need access to your DNS records, but to do so is fairly easy if you've dinked around with DNS in the past. You'll simply create a CNAME record with track as the host name, and then this record right here as the destination. So if you want to grab this, it is in their help docs, or you can just pause the screen and take a look at this. After you've completed this, you'll go back over to Closely, enter in that domain name, and everything will verify. Then when you go to create your next campaign, you'll be able to include email. So we'll go up here, choose new campaign. I've got my LinkedIn account over here. I could turn that off, by the way. So if I only wanted to do email outreach, I'd set this to be none. And then over here, I can set my email up. Now you can do both concurrent. So you could be hitting people on LinkedIn as well as via email. That is entirely up to you. You can see my account limits here are 50 emails per day. So now when I'm creating a campaign, I will need to upload some contacts. I can't just pull them directly from LinkedIn. Of course, you could use the lead finder to gather them up. Then you'll just drop your CSV file in the drop zone here, map all of the fields from the CSV to the corresponding fields inside of Closely, which for me, it did automatically. And then I'll hit Save and Next. Now, I do get this message here that there are some duplicate entries, which is interesting to me because I exported these leads directly from the lead finder. I would think this would be a fairly smooth process since they're both coming from Closely and going to Closely, so surely they could find a format that works. It looks like the bare minimum that I need is first name, last name, and email address. So I'm just going to create a new Google Doc over here and I'll put in those fields. I've entered in my own info and I'm going to go ahead and export this. So we'll try this again with my homemade CSV file here. Everything maps correctly and we'll choose the next screen. And this time it does work. So just a little quirk there. When I exported directly from the lead finder, it wasn't great. But if you take a little bit of time and just create your own CSV, which honestly will only take a few seconds, but it's annoying, right? Like, why do I even have to download the CSV at all? Why isn't there a direct connection from the lead finder over to the campaigns? I don't know. But now that that's complete, I can go ahead and build out my campaign here. I'll just hit add a new step and you can see I can add an email. I can write my email as I like, include things like images and emojis, even send a test email right down here, and enable open tracking and click tracking. This will use your custom domain if you set one up. Otherwise, it's going to use their domain. When your email's all set, you can go ahead and save it, and then you can go ahead and set up your next step, which will likely be to send another email. However, you can set up some conditions to do things like maybe only send a particular message if the email is open. Hey, I noticed you saw my message yesterday. You probably didn't get a chance to respond yet, but I just wanted to remind you so-and-so, whatever you're going to say. Or maybe they clicked on the link inside of your email, and that's going to give you a clue that they're interested, but something kept them from completing the sale. So maybe you want to offer them a discount, or maybe time to schedule a call to discuss the offer. If I choose one of these conditions, I get the same yes and no branches like we saw before with the LinkedIn campaigns. All right, so that is most of Closely. I want to point out just a few other things. Besides the extension, they do have integrations with HubSpot, webhooks, and Pipedrive. So if you use any of those CRMs or you want to connect up to anything else on the web, basically, webhooks is kind of the standard for shooting information back and forth. You could do that right here. Now, in addition to everything we've seen so far, now there's also Appoint, which is basically like their Calendly replacement. This is not included in the Closely LTD. They did have an AppSumo LTD previously, but it is no longer available for a one-time fee. So just know that it's there. You don't need to use it, but it's going to live in the left-hand sidebar. In order to get access to it, you're going to need to either activate a code or contact them to make a purchase. So that is Closely. Overall, a very strong tool. I would say it's a little bit more technical than AimFox, but it's also more feature rich. This is often the trade-off that you'll see. If things get more technical, they can have more options. For things to be easier and more convenient to use, they often have fewer options. So that goes site-wide through all software. So I'm going to annoy a lot of people right now by giving Closely the exact same score that I gave AimFox, because they are very similar tools, but actually quite a bit different and will appeal to different people. So Closely gets a 7.8. If you want to pick up a copy of Closely or check out my AimFox review, I'll have links for both of those things down below in the description. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Make sure you get subscribed if you haven't already, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another LTD review.